All righty. Just bringing everyone aboard, and hopefully our pilot will join us. Soon. And I also have something for Jan as well when he arrives, although he doesn't know it yet. But I'm basically. Oh, there he is. Hey, Peter.
Hey there. It was a great show, Peter. You were an inspiration to all of us. I like to show my notes to guests because when I get excited, I use red and yellow, and look at all the hearts. I've never used hearts before. Oh, and look at that. There's a dog on the side and an airplane and another dog. And I had to woof and big wags at the end. So thank you for giving me a great hour. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for reaching out. This was a lot of fun.
You bet. And that's one thing. When I was in graduate school, Peter, I knew a lot of doctors, a lot of people who were interns and residents and that sort of thing. And they were all people who knew how to get things done. They were very organized, and a lot of them would either fly airplanes on the side, or they were carpenters, or something involving their hands and something involving spatial orientation. I'm just so happy that you've used your talents in such a magnificent way. And I'm sure you're going to inspire a lot of other people to do their own charitable work, kind of in honor of what they see you doing. So, the ripples always spread.
So I just hope so. I mean,
No, so Peter, I'm just going to say one thing quickly, which is now that he's arrived, Jen, I'm ceding all moderator responsibilities now for this after show to you. You are in control and in charge. In fact, to just prove to you this, you may not want it, but I'm about to give you I'm going to make you co-host, which means you can mute everyone, including me. I think you can mute me.
Wow.
And so, Jan, this is your show from this moment on. You will not hear from me unless I'm asked a question. Take it away.
This has never happened. This has never happened before. If you could share that mute button with the rest of us for Joseph, that would be awesome.
I'm honored, and I'm just thrilled that Peter and his staff answered the email. I had seen the story on CBS Sunday Morning, and to think that took 2 years to happen, and that I saw it, as I'm sure a lot of people did and were moved, just shows you how valuable it is to keep on a path that you believe in. So many tentacles to that, so many offshoots to that path, and Peter just hit on everything. Like Joseph said, he just went right into it. And there wasn't a boring moment. It wasn't scripted. Yeah. It was from his heart. And it was also from a business mind, somebody who knows how to turn that love into action, and that action to have a plan that can work. So, I'm blown away by that. I don't know if I have any questions, but I'll try one. And that is, Peter, when you're thinking about, as you are already in the act of scaling it, what is a possible plan for getting these dogs or continuing the operation over the winter months, which seem to be the difficult time?
Yeah, that would require an aircraft that would be almost prohibitively expensive in terms of getting it done effectively. Certainly, there are aircraft out there that can do it, but this is, as I mentioned, this is a want to, not a have to, and it's safety first. And when you're flying in bad weather, it's just not a fun thing to do, and it's just a white knuckle thing. And currently, the situation we have, we're a single pilot operation, And if you're going to be flying a lot of instrument weather, that's a 2-pilot operation. It's always good to have a pilot monitoring and a pilot flying. And right now, I don't know where I would get the manpower to do that. But I also know right now that I don't have the equipment that can handle it. I mean, I've flown the Caravan into some inclement weather and some icing conditions, and the Caravan just has a terrible reputation in ice, and it's just not built for it. I would have to go to a multi-engine aircraft. Now the cost, and it doesn't cost twice as much to run a twin engine. It costs 3 times as much. A lot of moving parts in those things, and we can price ourselves right out of the market. And if somebody is donating money and they're saying, we want to make sure that these funds are spent well, and we're spending $200 or $300 per animal per transport, they're gonna shake their head, and rightly so. And they say there's got to be an easier and less expensive way to do that. So we do it. We just fly the wings off the aircraft when we can. And I say we shut down during the winter, but if we have a weather window that open for a couple of days, I'll jump in the airplane and I'll go do a rescue flight. We always keep our options open.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while Kingsley's barking, I'm going to ask if anybody has a question.
Yes, Peter, I'd like to ask you, well, first of all, a statement. We've been married 50 years and we've had 5 adopted dogs, and every one of them became part of our family. The question that I have is, how do you see that the dog gets to the individual owner, not necessarily the organization that picks them up at the airport?
Great question. And the short answer is we don't. We do not. We work with the sending and the receiving groups. The sending groups will pick the animals out of the local facility that are healthy and don't have behavioral problems, that are most able to be adopted. And then we deliver them into the receiving groups. And most of the receiving groups will already have foster homes assigned for these animals coming in. I will tell you, Stephen, that initially after I first started this, I tried to do the vertical integration of all the organization, finding the senders, providing the transport, finding the receivers, finding the adoptive homes. And it made me crazy. It just absolutely made me crazy. I couldn't do it. So I switched from the vertical to the horizontal. I said, I'm going to concentrate on the transport problem. That's a big problem as it is. And I'm going to leave the sending and the receiving groups to take care of their own problems. And so I couldn't do it all myself, even with help with my executive director. So we're not involved in finding that one particular person for that German Shepherd that's coming out of Odessa, Texas.
I have a question for Peter.
There is somebody said that there's a special place in heaven for you, and I agree.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, but if there's a heaven, I want to go where the dogs go.
Yeah. It'll have a wet dog smell. You're part of heaven for sure.
For sure. Hey, Peter, Faith here. I don't know if you can hear me. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, Faith.
Hi, Peter. Good to meet you. Just so completely amazed by your willingness and obedience in honoring your calling, because clearly this is a passion of yours, and I actually was the one who said a special place in heaven for you. But I want to come at this from because I'm always challenged by this notion of controlling the population, and if we could maybe, what's your thought on going more upstream? on this, right? So you have this sort of very singular mission in terms of getting from, one place to the other. But if we try to sort out the situation at a higher level, meaning people, groups of people weren't just raising untold amounts of canines to create this problem, then you wouldn't be, certainly not overwhelmed and overburdened with the amount of 13,000 is a great number, but we know full well there are additional tens of thousands that are being euthanized and fall prey to that. So do you have a thought on that? What's your thought on spaying in pet control population? And is there any part of the organization, or do you have a desire to build into your nonprofit some sort of educational component? Because while you're here, trying to stick your finger in the dam, right, there's some other bit of work that needs to be done so people stop, breeding animals out of control.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's the backyard breeders. I mean, there are responsible breeders out there, and I don't have a problem with them, but because they tend to be responsible. It's the backyard breeders who are holding up their puppies in the parking lot at Walmart, trying to sell them. And if they don't sell them, they dump them off at the shelter and say, well, it's not our problem anymore. And or the puppy mills. I mean, I'm not a very politically savvy kind of person. Matter of fact, when it comes to politics, I really suck because I'm just too blunt. If we could legislate that, it starts in the state legislature. It should start in the county, on the county level. It's a lot easier up north, and I just say that it's a cultural thing. How I wasn't raised breeding animals, and there are a lot of people who were raised breeding animals. But if you can make a county ordinance that you're now allowed to breed animals without a license, and at least collect some money that can go towards paying for the problem that they're creating.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
No, I appreciate your answer, and you're absolutely right. And I do think that it definitely needs to be legislated to the point where trying to sort out what's the benefit. Why are people breeding dogs in particular, right? Because it's money. So is there some program that can be replaced with, instead of getting money for breeding dogs, you get money by doing something else? I think there's some things that we can think about to help alleviate that, because it wouldn't perpetuate if there are people buying these, right? They're not just out there in Walmart by themselves, they're people buying it. So it's almost sort of like, how do you blacklist the idea of buying like a puppy mill puppy a little bit more aggressively than it is? But either way, whilst we take the world on our shoulder to figure that one out, kudos and congratulations to you for the work that you're doing. And I just love everything about it, and I will be one of your donors.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, yeah, you can. I always tell people I don't want to poach on the local organizations. I mean, you should donate locally. We're kind of regional, and we're about to go national. As we said, we're kind of scaling up again, and I don't even know how to do it. But you know what? I'll figure it out. I
love that you said you mortgaged the house and you just figure out how you're going to get the money back. So I'm sure you'll apply the same,
Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, can I'm raising my hand.
Yes, Joseph.
The one thing that struck me throughout this whole conversation, Peter, was that you really are an entrepreneur, and in the truest, purest sense of it. And a lot of us on the Zoom after show, we come from the marketing and the business world, and we work with startups, and so many things you said are just on, the entrepreneur 101, from from mortgaging the house, right? Which is like they always say to startups or founders, if you're not going to go all in, if this is just a side hustle or a hobby, then you're never going to make it, and it's never going to become something. And there are other things as well, like and for example, you got an opportunity to tell your story. You told your story, and you just what Jan said was so true. You just went through you took that scalpel and you slashed the entire discussion guide or moderator's guide in the best possible way, because you wanted your opportunity and you took your opportunity and you didn't care. And again, everything I say is, only from this amazing position of love. When I say you didn't care, you didn't care that this show wasn't CBS. That's what I mean. You said, I'm going to take every opportunity with every person and every audience that I have to tell my story the way that I want to tell it and my truth. And that you don't see often. You don't see that often. And so you're living this story. You're making it up as you go along. You're saying, I'm not really sure how, but I'll figure it out. And I was thinking at some point, if you ever have time, which you probably won't, maybe when you have autopilot and you have some time to kill, there's a business book or a motivational book that you could probably write about how to live your life in general, using this incredible metaphor or analogy, which happens to be real life, going from A to B to save dogs.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. We always, in business, use it as a pejorative term that you're managing from 12,000 feet. But in Peter's case,
it works. It works. It's funny.
He's always got his paws on the ground.
My wife and I have had 8 dogs, 7 of them rescues, and we've had 5 cats, all of them rescues. And I've come to learn over the years that when you save an animal, somehow that animal's going to save you back. And it's just a remarkable thing that for people who haven't experienced that, it's been the joy of our lives. The only animal we ever bought was the only one who was trouble constantly, but we loved him too. So yeah, it's the whole education of people. But and Faith is so right. We need to pay attention to those upstream sources of the problem. But given the nature of human beings, we'll never totally solve it there. We can make it more manageable, but there's always going to be a need for what you do, Peter, and for what you inspire other people to do. I just hope you get to hear every now and then from people who've gotten your animals, from people who've adopted your animals. I hope they have a way to get in touch with you and thank you for your part in the chain of command that got them their loved one.
Yeah, we're constantly reaching out to have people give us some feedback.
Good.
On how the animals are doing. Send us a most recent photo, and I know that I started an outpatient surgical center when I was practicing, and we used to have a little questionnaires we'd hand out to the patients. How did we do? And if we got like 7% of them back, we thought we were doing well. And we get probably half that from the animals. And I'd like to think that they're just so busy, and they get this animal, and then suddenly it's like that animal, that dog has always been there.
Yeah.
And they don't know when it started.
Yeah, that's wild.
Hey, Peter, has there been any interest, any engagement, any time to engage with brands that might sponsor you, like Chewy's?
Yeah, I did an interview with Chewy, with their magazine, probably a couple months ago. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know whatever became of that. But I don't do that. Honestly, I don't know how to ask people for money. I mean,
well, if not you, who your staff, or you said your chief of staff, is it Karen?
Yeah, it's Kara Pollard. She's as active as as she can be in doing that. We honestly, our world was kind of turned upside down since August 21st when Connor and CBS Sunday Morning did that show. Then we were on Fox News, NBC News. I was in Burbank shooting a piece with the Hallmark Channel, and
good.
And all this is kind of fun, and it really has helped financially. I mean, we were, speaking of not knowing how to pay off the airplane, you have to overhaul a turbine engine every 3,600 hours of flight hours, and we're about 400 hours over that. It's about a $300,000 proposition.
Wow.
And coming into this flight season, I knew at the end of this year we were going to have to do that. And I had no idea how we were going to pay for it. I mean, I had no idea. And then suddenly, we have the donations that have come in since August that will cover that. And I figure, wow, I mean, that is great. I never saw it coming. I actually thought I was going to have to pay for it myself, and I was willing to do it. I'm pleased that I don't have to do it. That more people are part of the solution than just me financially. And I suppose that it's not as if I haven't been walking this tightrope without a safety net. I'm my own safety net. I wouldn't have gotten into this, made the financial commitment to it, if I knew that if push came to shove, I couldn't take care of it myself. I'm much happier that more people are becoming part of the solution and helping me realize our goal in transporting as many animals to safety as possible. But it always seems that right around the corner, something happens and it works out for the best of us. And I've always felt that maybe I wasn't the brightest guy or the sharpest tool in the shed, but I've always seemed to be at the right door at the right time. Yeah. And all I wanted was, my entire life is, just give me an opportunity to show you what I can do, and I'll get it done. And so I've been fortunate that way, and hopefully my luck doesn't run out. The luck of the Irish.
Hey, that's good to hear. A good heart will find its opportunities. And I know you won't like this analogy, but Superman should not have to pay to have his own cape dry cleaned. So I'm glad to see that hear that these donations are coming in at that level. Just once people hear about this, they can't help but be moved.
Yeah.
I agree. Peter, is it appropriate for us to get either your contact or your executive director's contact? So a couple of reasons. I want to find out who does your social media, and if you need any support with that, my agency might be able to take that on. And then second,
especially Instagram, Faith. Instagram is, oh
exactly.
My God, Instagram is so perfect.
Yeah.
The IG and the Twitter and the Facebook, all of it. And then second, I run an online course and branding program for entrepreneurs. And every other month or so, I do a masterclass where I invite a guest to come on and speak. So I'm just putting it out there because I love Joseph's idea of pivoting this whole experience into like I like to talk about an even though nevertheless attitude when it comes to building your business. Like, you didn't know where the money was going to come from, but you had the passion and you had the purpose and you just followed it. And here you are now and only going, bigger and bigger. So if that's ever something that you felt called to do or would be willing to entertain, I would love to have you as the masterclass spokesperson for my program of entrepreneurs. So I'm just going to let that sit with you.
And by the way, you will notice that she's never asked me to give the masterclass for the guest speaker. So, you know, whatever, you're dead to me. You're dead to me, folks.
Well, you can, Joe, a couple of things. Joseph, you have now a great sidebar topic for your South by Southwest talk.
Oh yeah.
And Peter, I think that while we've had some pledges, you know, on the air here, we would like, knowing that, you know, where you can get a little bit sidetracked with your 8 miles of walking and your 12,000 foot, you know, that altitude can affect your head. You know, I think what we need right now, Peter, is a pledge from you that you will put Kara in touch with Faith.
Yeah, you can find both of our contact informations on our webpage.
I will
www.copilot.org, and you can reach out to us. Go ahead, Joseph.
I can share the email address as well if you like.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm not sure I have anything to add to your masterclass for entrepreneurs.
You're too humble.
But I would love to be part of that mix, because I always come out. I mean, even today, I'm learning more than I'm bringing to the table. I'm taking more away. So
I don't know if that's entirely correct, but I would say that it's mutual. You know, it's mutual, and I think what we can do, and what I do certainly, is in my capacity as a host. And most people that are on today have been with me since almost the beginning. We get to connect the dots. We get to see common themes, and sometimes it validates, and other times it negates, and other times it triangulates, and it's all part of this partnership. I would add a couple of things. They say in the startup world, right, when people are trying to raise money, they say if you ask for money, you'll get advice, and if you ask for advice, you'll get money. So that's one thing to think about. The other thing, Peter, is I loved how you said that you invested financially and emotionally for that period of time. I've thought of that too with CoronaTV, that I haven't spoken about the financial part, because, you know, in this day and age of COVID, there is no financial part. But for me, it was all this idea of investing for years, saying I'm going to do this for 2 years, and I'm not going to be distracted along the way. But the emotional part is a vital part, and that's what you added. And I think that's a very, very powerful thought to add. So whether it's financial, whether it's time, but you've got to be invested with your heart. Otherwise, all of the other stuff will just sidetrack you.
That's right. That's right.
Hear, hear.
All
Well,
Joseph.
None of the other goals I have ever pursued in my life have been really short-term or easy to obtain. To be an orthopedic surgeon, you have 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and then it was another 6 years of training after that. And when I finally got there, I thought I was the luckiest guy in the world. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. So when I committed to 10 years, and really I have to correct you, it was 10 years or 10,000 animals, whichever came first.
And you blew that, and you said you blew that away.
I blew right through it. I spent 4 years flying the stationary at up to 4,000, got the caravan, then I'm flying 3,000 a year. And I thought, my gosh, after 7 years, I'm passing 10,000. And I thought, you know, I'm still having too much fun doing this. So it's just, and my work's not done. So that's where I am.
Peter, if you ever have time on your hands, which I assume will be never, we are here every day in our little after show. I have a feeling you will be hearing from us in the future. Well, you know, you'll be hearing from Faith. which is awesome. I just want to thank you for everything you've done for all these animals, in particular dogs and sometimes cats. And I want to thank Jan from the bottom of my heart for not only making this connection, but for his expert moderation duties today. And I'm now going to go and take my dog for a walk because he is looking a little bit rotund and and portly, which I really realize impacts badly on my physical health and the fact that I am not doing enough exercise. So that's what